Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Low Carb Lifestyle Podcast. Today, I'm here with Brett Hayes. Brett, thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Oh, Tracy, thank you very much for inviting me and having me on. It's a great honor. Thank you.
Oh, it's great to meet you. So, just to put a little bit of context around it, so obviously, the Low Carb Lifestyle Podcast is about nutrition in general. But people that know me and have followed me for a while know that my overall concept is about health and well-being. And that's why I'm really excited to have you on. So we probably won't be discussing nutrition much today, but a whole lot of other factors that come into our health. So do you want to just start by telling everyone a little bit about you, Brett, what you do, what you're bringing to the world right now?
Well, I call myself a regenerative coach, and by that I means like when a lot of people who come and see broken. I mean, like as we do break, we break. But I've gained my experience or my knowledge and what I share now at the very early age of about, I think I was around 7 when I put the H encyclopedia into my bedroom, and I still love the human anatomy bit, and it had the little pages, the clear pages. It had the skeletal system, the vascular system.
That.
Remember that H encyclopedia?
Yes.
Oh my God! And it was always in my room, and I just loved it. So I sort of looked at the human body. I wouldn't say I was taught anatomy. I absorbed anatomy. So it's like I use the analogy like kids who play piano or musical instruments from a very early age, and they've got something that is totally different to people who start when they're 17, 18 or 20, later on. It's the brain's malleable. The brain does something. It absorbs it differently. And because around the age of 12, I started mowing lawns just to earn a bit of pocket money. And so as that would have, you've got to learn about engines. So I started learning about engines. And then when I started a trade, an electrical trade, about the age of 17, and by that stage I've already got a car. So I rebuilt my first engine when I was 17 and a half, 18. So I've got a good knowledge on engines. And then I did the trade as an electrician, and it was an interesting experience for me because I didn't really want to be in the trade. I knew it wasn't my gig, but it was something that you will finish. You'll gain the knowledge, son. And I did that, and I'm very pleased I did do that, because through the aspect of looking at the anatomy and then working on the engines, I relate the human body very much to an internal combustion engine. And it's a funny thing, if you actually look at it, it's very similar. Like the internal combustion engine requires oxygen. You and I, we require oxygen. All of us require oxygen. The internal combustion engine requires fuel. Well, you and I require fuel, food. And the internal combustion engine creates waste. Well, you and I create waste. So then you can take it a little bit further, and you can look at it. And look, I know the heart's not only an oil pump. The heart is there's a lot more going on with the heart and the reception of, what makes us and our life force. But on a very gross mechanical level, like the heart is like the oil pump. Your stomach is the fuel tank. Your lungs are the carburation. Your small intestine is the inlet manifold. Your large intestine is the exhaust manifold and the exhaust pipe. Your liver is the coil. Your gallbladder is the spark plugs. Your spleen is the oil filter. God, what else is there? I mean, there's just the relationship. And once you actually get your head around the simplicity, the complexity of the way the human system works and the way we regenerate, becomes feasible for people like myself who aren't rocket scientists, to really gain a great foothold of it's not really control. It's like getting in the driver's seat of the body, and rather than being governed by the laws of disintegration, and because we're all governed, but we can alter it by how we think, what we do, and it's, so that's a really been a big one for me, because when I was 28, I'm 55 now. When I was 28, my mate who I did my trade with, He came up to Queensland when I moved. I came up to Queensland at the age of 21 when I finished my trade to build a healing centre with my mother, and it was good. The healing centre didn't really eventuate, but boy, oh boy, that's where I broke my back, and boy, the healing did. It did eventuate. It's just a funny gig. I think I would prefer the healing centre, but look at the knowledge you gain. But anyway, so Brother Elliot came up, and his manager had a headache, and I'd always been helping like through my trade years when I moved in with share houses, because I always used to like working on the body, and I used to like necks and all of that. And Elliot just said to his manager, said, you should get Brett to have a look at that. And I did. And look, I've just finished my trade. And so I was doing a 60-hour week for, I think at the end of the week, I was making $178 a week for a 60-hour week. And this guy gave me $50 for like an hour and a bit's work. And I just went, are you for real? But what I didn't know is this guy was the manager of the world champion Ironman, Trevor Hendy. And so then I think within a week, Trevor called me up, and I started treating Trevor. And then once I started treating Trevor, and I really do owe a lot for Trevor's famousness or his thing, because suddenly there I am, I'm booked out, mate. I'm treating people from the AIS, the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, the Ironman, these elite athletes, and they're sort of like Lamborghinis. So it really gave me a good insight. I'm good at injuries. I've been told I'm very good, but I am at helping the body come back to balance with those injuries. Otherwise, you got to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be as busy as I was.
That's right.
And breaking my back put an end to that for 10 years. But there's another story. And so I gained great knowledge. It's like. And you just gain knowledge, and from that, I looked at the way in particular, the injuries always occurred on one side. I mean, why was it one side? And because of my knowledge of anatomy and the mechanics of the body, and being on the cross structure, so like somebody would come in and they go, oh, my left shoulder is just like caning, and so I'd work on the left shoulder, but also work on the right hip, on the top of the ilium, around the quadratus lumborum and the iliopsoas on the front. They go, why are you working there? Why are you working on the hip? And then suddenly they just go, what did you do? How does that work? And I just go, well, it's the body works on fulcrums, and the skeletal system is basically really based around perfection. And so when the skeletal system is in perfect alignment, gravity doesn't have any impact on us. We're literally weightless. I don't know whether you've ever experienced a time when you really felt as though your skeletal system was in such alignment, and there was a lightness in your legs and a lightness in your arms, and we can achieve that. We can achieve that till the day we leave the planet. But it's looking at the breath. And so I really started looking at the way we were breathing, because, and again, it was that V8 engine that I used to love the V6s and the V8s. And it's because we are a V8. Like a V-stroke. We're based on a V-stroke engine. We've got a left and a right-hand side. And the driver there is this 3-point trilogy on so the science of the triangles and the most stable structure there is, a pyramid, because it's 3. People just go, well, isn't 1 the most powerful? I go, well, 1 only knows oneself. 2 is easily divided. But 3, 2 against 1, 1 against 2, or 1 or times 3 opposing forces. It's the power number. And then once you get into that power number, including yourself as the driver, I saw how the body worked on an air intake level. And so then I started imagining the oxygen we brought in was light energy. And so then when we breathe the oxygen in through our nose, I'd imagine the light coming on the middle of the forehead. And then as we breathe out, the exhalation in particular, because the breathing cycle of the human body, most of us, if I say what starts the breathing cycle, and look, there will be 8 times out of 10 that most people will go inhalation. And I go, well, what's the first thing you do when you're born? And they go, breathe in. I go, no, you breathe out, because you've got to clear the amniotic fluid. So the exhalation is the first thing you do. What's the last thing you do when you leave the planet? Or you exhale. So the exhalation is that's the starting of your breathing cycle. And so most of us focused so much on our in-breath, our inhalation, not recognizing, no, it's the cup. The cup's got to be empty before you can refill it. So if your cup's already got half full, you're only ever going to get half full again. If you want to really get in a big full cup of oxygen, you've got to empty the cup. And so then I started looking at the way we breathing in through the nose and then alternating the breath rather than from your typical in 2 out 2, and we swapped it around. We went in 2 out 1, in 3 out 2, in 4 out 3, and using the neurons and the light energy to distribute it to the feet and then to the arms, and then bring the awareness up into the elbows, because it's the elbows that are the most important part of your body. If you wish a body that doesn't collapse. So how you use your elbows and how you hold your body is the most important if you don't want your body to collapse. Now, if you're quite happy disintegrating, don't worry about it. But if you do wish a little bit more, most of us are in the, and I'd say, and I'm not being harsh on people, I would say 90 probably, just by my base, and I've dealt with thousands of humans, I'd probably say about 96, 97% of people are still sitting in the back seat. They believe they're in the front seat, but they don't recognize the power that their mind aspect over their breathing rhythms, in particular when they walk and run. Because that's when the most impact is experienced by the body, through impact just walking. And then when you add that impact over to the continual force, oppressive force of gravity, and then if you add the thought processes of sadness and dismay and all of that, and the heaviness of, and then don't even add the heaviness of a heart, and it really does drop people and compact people and compress people, and then unfortunately that has a residual effect. There's always consequences on the skeletal system, and then once the skeletal system is all out of whack and out of thing and all of that, so is the transmission of information. So the brain transmits information via your nervous system, which is housed in the vertebrae of the spine and is a big distributing tower out. And then if that's compacted, you're trying to tune into 48.5 FM, but there's a big compaction and resistance. You're only getting 45.2. You can hear the music, but it's distorted. It's uncomfortable to listen to. And could someone just turn it off? And so that's me now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's fantastic. I'm just my mind is like, well, there's so many places we can take this, and it's fascinating stuff. You said you are a regenerative coach. I absolutely love that. I mean, there's a lot of people listening to this who are into regenerative farming, and with understanding this whole getting back to, I guess, being a lot more present with our world. So as a regenerative coach, let's say somebody comes to you who's a mini, not a Lamborghini. Do you work with people that are, are you only working with Lamborghinis, or do you work with?
Goodness gracious, no. I was very blessed. I was I got friends who know humans, and so I was down in Sydney about, I think it was about 20 years ago. It was a little bit more. I was really just getting my head around getting the neurons working after the breaking of the back and the paralyzed leg, and that was the birth of Tribreath. That really was, and that's the breathing techniques. And before that stage, before I broke my back, it was really just about power, running, getting there quicker, winning the gold medals, but then lying.
It is, I think, for most of us until the universe gets in the road.
Well, that's where I was, and it was a very physical. There wasn't really, like and it's funny, like, and I don't know whether people believe, but it's just, for me, it was a spiritual aspect. There was an awakening. Something happened.
Yeah.
And in my head, lying flat on my back, I used the breathing rhythms to stitch up my spine. And I went up and down my spine, just, up and down, and using the triangles of force to go up and down, up and down, up and down, thousands of times. And look, I was walking, and I was walking without a cane within about 18 months. I was running, but I wasn't. When I say running, one of the things about running is a lot of people. I've got a saying that for the body to run well, the body must run. You have to run. Yeah, but most of us, because we think so physical, we think running is, I've got to run fast and I've got to run far. And that's not the truth. Well, it is the truth if you believe it's the truth, but I believe differently. I believe running is more in the way we hold our shoulders and how we hold our thumbs and how we use our elbows and how we use our breath. And I still run, and I love a run. And look, sometimes I'll go, 3Ks, 4K. Sometimes I'll go 6. Sometimes I'll go 100 meters. It just depends on what the body likes. Sometimes I just purely focus on technique, and because I'm not focusing on where I'm going, I'm focusing on my breath. I'm focusing on my internal connection with my body. I'm focusing on my structure. So when I was down in Sydney, and I got introduced to the CEO Heart Foundation down there. And he just went, oh my God, we have got to get this information out there. And so then he tried to get it through the Heart Foundation, but the Heart Foundation had like 7 CEOs, and then I had to go get it run by every CEO in every state. And I just went, oh no, I'm not into that. And he just went, and so then he contacted the Gold Coast City Council up here, and they asked me to run active and healthy programs. And so I did that for 10 years. And my whole focus turned from, I say it with love, self-obsessed Lamborghinis who, really are because and I understand the process, they're professional athletes. They don't want to share information. And so my gig with them was for them to gain the information and then share the information. Well, that didn't happen. And there's only been, there's only been a couple of people, like guys like Pat Cash, for example. He's always been a good sharer of stuff, but I guess he's not a professional athlete anymore. He's a professional, but he's not professional. And so then I started working, and I've had I remember dear Jean. She was 79 when she came, and look, she was in good form, but she wasn't in great form. And at the age of 92, she was doing. There's a video on my website on the Tribreath blog with Jean doing a 100-meter walking sprint. And you go, that's a 92-year-old woman. I said, yeah, that is. And she'd still be on the planet. She'd still be on the planet if she didn't slip at the shopping centre on water and banged her head. I swear to God, I think she'd still be here. It was an accident, But when it's your time, it's your time. You can't. There's no blame. Those who point the fingers of blame are those themselves riddled with guilt and shame, as my dear brothers would say.
I love it. So if someone does come to you who's in need of, I guess a lot of healing or regeneration, is everything connected back to this breathing technique? Because it sounds very meditative to me. Is it? I guess in meditation, in my sort of view, it's really just bringing ourselves back into our body and increasing our awareness of us, because we talked before we started recording. I think so many people are disconnected when we're kind of outside our body at the moment.
We're not in the driver's seat.
We're not in the driver's seat. No, and I see that in my work a lot. And I think particularly around what's going on the planet at the moment, with lockdowns and COVID and all this stuff, I think it's creating even more layers for people and even more more difficulty to get back in the driver's seat. But let's talk about how you what can you share around what we can do to really put ourselves back in that driver's seat.
The first suggestion I always offer to people is to every time you're sitting in the car or every time you're sitting around, hold water in your mouth. So fill your mouth up with a mouthful of water, and keep it in your mouth for, it's not uncommon for me to hold like either water or a mixture of gold and silver, colloidal gold and silver in my mouth for 2 hours, 3 hours. It's not unusual at all. When I do my wall work and my regenerative work of structural realignment, I hold gold and silver in my mouth. But you can use water, and one of the things when we do feel oppressed or we feel fearful or we feel we're out of the driver's seat is we don't nasal breathe, and mouth breathing is an epidemic. And so when you hold, the simple thing of holding water in your mouth forces you to nasal breathe, and that forces you got no other choice. It draws your attention to your oxygen intake, and it draws your attention to facets of yourself that you really wouldn't be, because you're not even connected. So the first thing I start with is actually water in the mouth, and then from there I look at the breath, but I remember I said, I'm not even going to mention his name, but it was a very high profile football player, and he goes, "Oh, Brett, I'm not dead, so I must be breathing right." And like all his team members just looked at him and just went, "Oh my God,"
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So most of us breathe, and we don't, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what really is available, and there's so much available to us. I mean, like, rhythmic breathing is the most empowering aspect of living, and because you the first thing it's oxygen, it's the life force, it's everything. But I sort of work more on the absorption of the nutrients, the absorption of the fuels the people. So first we get the air intake going. We want to start getting the air up through the nasal passages. And then I really want to let's focus on the digestion, because it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. And most of us absorb so little. And that's only because we don't understand the digestive, there's 4 digestive salivas of the body. And most of us don't even relate chewing to saliva. But it is the start, because your mouth, when we chew food, you can just find it, just close your mouth and then swallow, and your body makes saliva. But when we chew food, our saliva is mixed with the nutrients that we're bringing in. And the great one, we've been given teeth to chew our food into liquid, because your body can't absorb foods that anything, if it's not liquid, the body can't absorb it.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a belief system that the hydrochloric acid that the gallbladder makes, that's put into the stomach lining, breaks down all the fibers and all of that. And I go, well, it's not true. And I know that's not true, because I know doctors and I know people who have operated on that level, and they've seen that. They go, no, it's not true, Greg. There's a lot of packed feces and the exhaust pipe, it's the same thing with the exhaust pipe, the large intestine. And when the large intestine gets blocked up to, it gets compacted, so too does our air intake stop. And not that I say I do it, but I have done it. As a young kid, I didn't get paid once. And all of my mates sat around and we didn't know what to do. And one of my other mates said, I know how to fix this. And so what we did, we walked around to the guy's car and we put a potato up his exhaust pipe. And then we sat on the other side of the road and watched. We're kids, we watched, we're 10, 11, 12. And car wouldn't start. And then and so in the nutting, he couldn't figure it out. And it took it to the mechanic, and obviously they figured it out, and they took out the pipe and they replaced it. And we went, the old potato in the exhaust pipe trick. No air could get in to fire up the engine. And that's the same thing with the large intestine. Look, a lot of us experience respiratory issues, not because of the lungs. I would have to say that, 90% of respiratory issues aren't respiratory issues. They're metabolic waste issues. They're exhaust pipe. So once we start dealing with that nourishment, the nutrition and chewing of our food, I say to people, just imagine this. Mouth saliva turns on stomach saliva. Then once stomach saliva is turned on, liver saliva is turned on. Once liver saliva is turned on, gallbladder saliva can be turned on. Once gallbladder saliva is turned on, pancreatic saliva can be turned on. Pancreatic saliva is excreted into the small intestine to negatively charge the small intestine, so then we can absorb all the positiveness from the nutrients that we've been chewing into liquid. So I deal with the 4 channels of excretion of digestion first, of the digestive salivas. So water, chewing, and then I go on to the other 4 channels of excretion. And then they go, well, what are the 4 channels of excretion? The metabolic waste. And I read a magazine in a magazine called Science News. The edition was about 1970, and in there it said the 4 ways the body moves metabolic waste out is, number 1 is respiration, the way we breathe. 70% they believe 70% is respiration, 20% is perspiration, 7% is urination, 3% is defecation. So you've got respiration, perspiration, urination, defecation. 70% of the breath. So once people get their head around the air intake and then the digestion of nutrients, then I go, okay, now let's start dealing with the breath. Let's go. And that seems to be a very, it's, what's the word? The achievable. It seems to be a very achievable thing, because then you're not looking for something instant fix. Then it's just something to get, let's get really good at what we're doing. Let's practice this. Let's really center ourselves and really hold ourselves in the driver's seat. So when I eat, I just, if any of your viewers, have a watch of this. If any of your viewers know anybody who is experiencing like diabetes, watch them.
There'll be a few.
Watch them eat, and even if it's you, put a camera on yourself. Watch you eat, and I've watched heaps and heaps of people eat, and you look at the people that have got so much excessive weight, and they go, oh my God, it's so bad, and I go, oh God, you're so lucky. God, what I could do with that weight, boy, oh boy, you're a millionaire. And but you think you're in the slums, but it's not easy to get that sort of usable fuel when your digestive system is working. Because otherwise, for me to put on weight, I have to eat all day. The metabolism just cranks. But it's not because I'm anything special. It's because I just utilize natural law. It's the way the body works, and the body works like the garden works. You're putting good nutrients into the soil. The plant can produce beautiful fruit. It's the same thing with the body. So that's where I start. Then I bring the breath into it. That's how I do it, Tracy. I bring the breath into it. Third. It's third. Yes.
So just touching on then type 2 diabetes, or, weight loss, I guess. So let's talk a little bit around how you would help someone with, wanting to lose a whole lot of weight. You've talked a little bit about watching them eat and obviously connecting with the nutrients and the process of that. And, I think a lot of us too, we don't do that when we eat. It's just, eating is connected to a whole lot of other stuff, not necessarily just nutrients and nutrition. But I'd be
unfortunately, the television connected to the television. How many people are just going to the television and eating their food in front of the television or their computer?
Yeah.
Are you for real?
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about all of that in terms of what you see and maybe what people can take away in terms of seeing something new around all that.
An old bloke, a really old bloke, years and years ago, he told me, he said, Brett, you never eat your first meal until you've had your first poo. That's what he said.
Right.
And I went, run that by me again. He goes, you don't know what I'm talking about yet, but when you get older, you'll know what I'm talking about. And now that I still don't know what he's talking about, because I've got a very, it is now anyway, it was messed up after the back injury. And the painkillers, oh my God, they muck up your intestines. They muck up everything, but thank you. I'm very grateful for the pharmaceutical companies for giving me the old pain stuff. Get hit by a bus, go straight to hospital. You want to get well, run a mile. The whole process of how would I say it? Looking at our body as that engine aspect again, and looking at the waste aspect. So if somebody was a bit overweight or wanted to lose weight, first and foremost, I'd say chew your food. If it's not liquid, do not swallow it. So your eating of the food is no longer done in 3 minutes, or your meal is not done in 3 minutes. It's now done in 25 minutes. Like, you've got to get it, because I haven't got time for that. And go, well, reap the benefits. You've even got time for yourself, or you haven't got time for your body. And your body's giving you life, and why you believe you haven't got time for your body, the very aspect that's giving you life, unless, of course, you don't really want to be on the planet. And that's one of the first ones. Do you really want to be here? And if you do want to be here, actively engage with that passion. I want to be here. And then start looking at the body. I've developed a practice called wall work, which is structural realignment of my skeletal system, because I had to. Because I was, from my back pain, I had continual back pain, and when it will twang, I'd go down for 2 weeks again, and then I almost broke my neck when I was about 17 in a footy game, and from that day forward, headaches, and they developed into migraine headaches. So like even when I was about 40, from about the age of 35 up into 45, they were building I was getting these migraine headaches every 2 weeks, and they would knock me down for 3 days, and then 6 days recovery, and then I get 4 days reprieve, and then bang, it's on again. So, it was really heavy. But the body was broken. I mean, I had damaged my body, and I don't blame my body. It's like I was the one who ran into the football players. I was the one who broke my back. I was the one who did everything. And so I started using the wall work, and just using a wall to, like you could just imagine you're in sitting position and you bring your sacrum right up against the wall. And then your job is to get your body into, boom, the clavicles are 100% straight, the shoulders are out of the rib cage, and boom, you're up. But you're not allowed to use any muscle. You're not allowed to use force to do it. So if I do this, I'm using force. But if I relax, my body's going to do that. So what I've got to do is keep the vision of the perfection in my mind, and then relax my body. And then what I've really discovered is my body, I'm the thinker, I'm the driver, I'm in control of my body. So I'm sort of like the light energy. I bring lightness to my body. So if I'm not in my body is what they call, it's turned off. It's a dead body. There's no light. There's no light energy. There's no life energy in the body. So I look at the body as, again, this is my electrical aspect, the laws of polarity. And so there's an old saying that says spirit at its lowest frequency is matter. Matter at its highest frequency is spirit. They're the same thing. And then I added on my little thing onto the ancient chronicles is, and we are all spirit and we all matter. Because we do, we all matter. A lot of us believe that, I'm more important than you. I don't believe it works that way. I believe in the unison whole of the human family, all of us. I mean, we are all part of that one integrated unit. And so I started looking at my body as being like the garden, and my body was of the earth, of the Mother Earth. And I know it sounds a little bit trippy for a lot of people, but I started to look at my body like a female. And then I asked, and I said to myself, Brett, if you were in love with the most beautiful woman in the world, or something like, you really loved, how would you treat that woman or that human or whatever? And I said, well, I treat her very, very, very well. I go, yeah, okay, Brady, start treating your body very, very, very well, because she's your woman. So I think of the soul as being a yang energy, the body as being the yin energy. And so now I want to really look after, the one that I really, really love. So it makes it easier. So I started, rather than expecting stuff from my body and going, I've got to be able to do this, or I've just got to push through this, or I've just got to do that. I just went, hold on, stop there. How, if I wanted to make love to this beautiful woman, is it best that this woman is stressed, or is it best that this woman is relaxed? And every woman's going to look at me and go, Brady, relaxed. I don't want to be stressed. And so that gave me a great insight into really softening my approach, because, I was very good at damaging my body. You don't create a broken back, almost a broken neck. In my life, I've left my body once. It's what they call septicemia. So I've had blood poisoning, cardiomyopathy. I had big issues, but I was exposed to a lot of toxins as a young man. I did part of my trade in a weapons manufacturing facility, and in those days we didn't have gas masks, and I've chopped up asbestos and concrete and rubber so hence why I teach breathing and regenerative practices now. But I look at my body differently, and then someone says, "Well, what about if I'm a female? I'm a woman." I go, "Well, the same thing applies, actually." And the thinker is the light energy, and so I think of myself as a yang energy experiencing life as a male in a yin body, like a yin and yang. Yang is the male, yin is the female. Whereas females are yang energies, still light source, soul, power, experiencing life as a female in a yin body. So the body is that yin aspect. And once we sort of really start looking at it, and it works the same for the girls as well. And I say, if you met a bloke and you really, really, really like this bloke, how would you like this bloke to treat you? She goes, "Oh, well, I'd really like this bloke to treat me really, really, really well." I said, "Okay, we'll treat your body really, really, really well." It's not rocket science. It's just about really opening yourself up to into a better relationship with your body, and moving blame away from your body, and removing judgment away on the body, and recognizing, sure, the body may be in this condition, and you may look in the mirror and it's not a very attractive sight, but there's the opportunity to you. There's your opportunity, because you're just not a very good driver. You've got a broken knee and a broken hip and all of that, and you're sitting in the back seat of your car and you're blaming you. If you look at your body as like a car, your arms are your two front wheels and your legs are your two back wheels. All of your operating systems, the engine, you've got your computer up the top, and most of us are sitting in the back seat going on autopilot. The car breaks in, bangs into a gutter or a pole or a tree, dings the whole front end. "Oh, I've just damaged my left hip and my left thing and all that." "Oh, bloody car." Hey, you're not in the driver's seat, people. You can't blame the body. You can, but it's again, it doesn't work. There's no power in that. It's like accepting that you do make a difference, and accepting that you can make a difference, but incrementally. Do it in small steps. Don't expect things in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It doesn't work that way. The body doesn't work that way. Your body doesn't work. The body works very similarly to like a garden. You plant the seed. I think there's very, very few plants out there that will produce you abundant food in a day or two once planting the seed. I don't think there's anything apart from sprouts. Maybe sprouts.
Yeah,
but
sprouts.
Yeah, I love sprouts. They're my favourite. So that's how I would do it.
Well, I love that, and I think it comes back to, I can hear myself in your microphone. I'll have to, and I stop now. it comes back to that relationship with ourselves. And I see that in my work too, that is the ultimate gift. We have that relationship with ourselves. And I think we treat each other, we treat ourselves very differently when we have that deep connection with who we are. So I absolutely love what you've been sharing. You have a book. Would you like to tell us all about your book,
It's
and where we can find it, what's in it?
it's not really a book. I wrote the book. It's called Tribreath: A Guide for Walkers and Runners to, I think, just magnificence or something. A great title. You can tell I
Great
knew a lot about
title. It is. It is.
So, but then the again, I was working with a lot of athletes at that. After the athletes, and I was teaching, I was sharing it, and so I've got a website. I've got most of my stuff now is on tribreath.com. Tribreath as in the triangle, breath, breath.com, and most of my stuff is on there. I've got a members area. I've got all the the breathing rhythms, how to utilize the breathing points of the spine, how to draw the energy up and elongate the body, correct proper alignment for the body, and do all of that, and some really interesting movements that you can incorporate into your daily walk. And so, like, as I say to people, you don't really, I'm not saying anything about gyms. I just go, look, if you're not one who's got either you believe yourself you've got the time for gyms, or you don't really like the exercising inside and all of that, I teach a whole lot of movements. I think we've got about 50 or 60 movements that elongate the body and extend and strengthen the body, but it's not really the brute force. It's the timing. It's the timing of the body, and when you use your arms in particular movements, timing the body up to your breath. So look, most of us, I say to do the best thing for anybody is to tune your body up by timing your body up to your very life force, the breath, rather than using the breath to exercise or using the breath to get strong. Use the exercise to get the breath strong. So, like, even if you're using a set of weights, the way you use the weights in your breath, or even a push-up, once you start getting into the different breathing rhythms, it changes. It's a different playing field. So I've got all of that stuff on the thing. I'm about to run this is really interesting, Tracy. The wall work. Oh my God. Yeah, I'll hook you up. I'm starting that one on Monday on an Eventbrite course. And I'm going to show people how by using a wall, I have got what I've got now, even with all of the knowledge I've got. And I'm not saying, look, I know enough now to know that I don't know much. That's how much I know now. And people who know will know exactly what I'm talking about. Tribreath got me mobile. There's no doubt about that. Tribreath got me active. Tribreath got me strong. It got me moving, but it didn't fix the body. So my back would still twang. My headaches were still there. And I've been practicing Tribreath since I was 28. Like I said, at the age of 45, I'm still getting migraines. So it didn't fix that. It got me mobile. It got me active. It got me up that hill quicker. It gave me that strength, but it didn't fix it. And it was the wall work, the realigning of my skeletal system. And I've been practicing now for 10 years. And hence now I'm just teaching you, because now I know enough to share with people the techniques that I've developed, or it's not even developed, I've become, I've noticed, I've recognized. Again, the way the body is created, there is an operating system. It's just that we're not given the driver's manual. Tribreath is like a driver's manual. Wall work is like the reintegrating of the operating system. And so I teach people how to use a wall and specific techniques using the breath. We use the 3 and the 7 step in the wall work, and the optic nerve and the points of the spine to literally relax the body into. This is a concept. Tracy, this is a concept. Imagine your body, your skeleton is created perfectly. Now, there is evidence to prove this, because every single human being out there has got the skeleton. It's the same skeleton. It's the same design. Imagine that the skeletons within the skeleton's design of perfection, because it is perfect, we are the ones, again, not being in the driver's seat, put it out of whack. So the moment we visualize and we relax the body, we don't have to fix the body. And the way I share that sort of mindset is, if I cut my thumb and it's bleeding and all that, I know what to do. I know I've got to bathe it, and I know I've got to put a bandage on it. But I could look at that after it stopped bleeding all day and it doesn't change. If I go to sleep and I get out of the way, because I'm no longer in my body expecting stuff from my body, I wake up in the morning and I go, oh, look, it's starting to heal. And I could look at that all day and go, heal, 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 heal. It doesn't change. The moment I get out of the way and I go to sleep, I wake up in the morning and go, oh, look, it's healed. And that's the same thing with the body. It's the same thing with the wall work. We've got to sort of, once we get out of the way and we focus more on relaxing the body and recognizing that the body, we have damaged the body, we have created this, not through any because we're bad people, just because we lack information, we lack knowledge. That's all it is. We say sorry to the body. And once we say sorry to the body and we relax the body's natural. It's like a seedling, coming up. It's like boom, and it just flows open and the flower opens. It's like, but most of us think we've got to do this. Oh, it's all like a big whack. And it's not, it's a very graceful, and the flower opens. And so I'm running those ones as well, which is very exciting to me, because I've seen other people, not only my own development, I've seen other people just resurrect them. I'm just like, what we are capable of is just what we can experience. I've even noticed it in my piano playing. There's the digits in my fingers, and like I remember coming out of one session and going upstairs, and there was a Jimi Hendrix riff that I could play. I could get the rhythm with the left, but I could never play like eighths or thirds over it. And then suddenly I came in, and I practiced for years trying to do this. I came in off the wall. And bang, just sat down and did it. I went, it's all about neurons, Bretty. It's all neurons. Because, my neck was so out of whack that the actual nerve impulses coming down through the neck, through the vertebrae, down into my fingers was blocked. So I could work all I liked on my fingers, but you're not getting the electricity, brother. It's not there. And that's like most of us, So many of us, we're just lacking electrical impulse. It's not what is transmitted, people. It's what is received. Your skeletal system is so important. And Tracy, can I just give a little tip for people just with regards to structural alignment? When this is finished, or even if you're watching this on the computer and you can stand up, just have a little stand up, and then breathe in. And as you breathe in, bend your knees. So we breathe, we go. And then as you breathe out, say to yourself, on the out breath, lift my shoulders up, back, down, point my thumbs in the direction I'm going, pull my chin in as I lift up my head from the back of the skull. So it's one movement. And up we go. And then walk and try and move yourself around without like, I can't move. Relax the body, enable it. But 20 times through the day, breathe in, lift the shoulders up, back and down, point the thumbs in the direction you're going, pull your chin in and lift up from the back of the skull. And that's going to help you, first and foremost, it's going to pull your shoulders. So if you look at yourself in the mirror and go look at your clavicles, for instance, they're the clavicles, these bones here. So if you're looking in the mirror, and most of the people's clavicles are up like that, or they're bent like that, they're all over the place. And that's because the shoulder, where it sits onto the rib cage, as the shoulder comes in and compresses into the rib cage, it forces the clavicle up. So a lot of us have respiratory issues. We can't get the air in But you've got to remember one thing, that the lungs are primarily made of blood and blood is made of water. So look at your hydration levels. Hold water in your mouth. Get your body. It's not what you absorb. It's not what you drink or eat. It's what you absorb. So start holding water in your mouth and get your body really cranking. And then start thinking about relaxing, getting the shoulders out, so then the clavicles can come, boom. And the moment the clavicles come in, the chin pulls in and the head comes up. So I just turned my phone off. Thought it was already off. And that practice is just so, it's so drivership, because you're in. Get in the driver's seat of your body. You haven't got long here on the planet. Tracy, I don't know how old your children are, but I've got a 20-year-old now, and I still remember holding her in my arms, and it's like gone. So it does go very, very quickly, and there's so much we can get to experience that we don't experience simply because we don't know and we don't invest. It's the investment. Invest in,
That's it. I love it. I love it. You've given so much information for people to take away. And I'm obviously going to put all your information below. I'll try and get this out for you before Monday. I'll try and get it out on the weekend so that you might be able to get some people to come into. I'd love to do it too.
You already hooked up. I'll send you the details. Yeah.
Awesome. So just send me anything you want me to put in the show notes. And, I think this has just been a fabulous talk. I've really loved it. I am very thankful for you for reaching out, and thanks for coming on and sharing your knowledge. Yes, time is limited. Yeah, my eldest is nearly 22. So, 22, he's 20 in January. And it just seems like yesterday that I was holding him, and now he's off living his life. And, we don't have that long. And I think we just forget that this is it. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is it. So invest in something like yourself and your body. And I don't think you would ever regret it.
Oh,
thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much for today. It's been great to meet you.
Thank you, Tracy. And blessings to everyone out there. Have a great day.